trying to get them more in line so it makes development more affordable so that it is not expanding out into the 12th district. The 12th district has 73% of the land mass in Fayette County, so any growth needs to be smart and sustainable. So those are just a couple examples that we're doing, and I know I'm probably, my 90 seconds is probably up, but it's that type of conscious journey, knowing that we need to do more to allow housing to be affordable for our citizens.
Okay. All right, thank you. And yeah, 90 seconds, sometimes it goes by quicker than you think, and sometimes it's kind of surprises me.
Yeah,
like,
I thought I was talking a long time. You just put up 30 seconds. So.
Yeah, so you do
know,
have
real quickly on that topic too, is
sure.
You're seeing some of our developers now, and this is something we can look at, where a percentage of their development has to be earmarked for affordable housing. And I think that needs to be looked at even more, and because it is happening with some developers. So I think that's a good thing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to the next question. How will you address Lexington's need to increase sustainability initiatives throughout the community?
Well, again, that's so directly related to my district. And there is a committee that is starting to meet right now, and that is the intent of that committee, and that is sustainability. When we grow, where perhaps it would be and why. And as a matter of fact, I was just on a search committee to bring in the consultant that will be leading that charge. And that work is beginning right now. So sustainability, I mean, where there's only X amount of space within the county. So we've got to be really careful with that. We've got to protect, of course, this is what I've been saying ever since I've been in office, we've got to protect those resources that are our calling card, and they're all out in the 12th district. So sustainable growth is keeps becoming more and more important as we move forward. And one other thing that I think is really important with sustainable growth is we need to be talking to we need to be addressing regional land use. The 12th district butts up against all our contiguous counties except for Jessamine, and we're not really talking to each other. And we need to be looking at zoning per county on those borders. And we're starting to do that. Bluegrass Tomorrow, which I'm very involved in, we're starting to look and have conversations because that regional land use will speak volumes as to what Central Kentucky looks like and feels like as we move forward.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to our next user submitted question. Do you support defunding the Lexington Police Department?
I do not. I do not. We have a we have a good force. I do support taking a look at the Citizens Advisory Review Board and bringing something like that into more discussion. One of the things that I look at, and I think we see this obvious and evident in other cities, is that our police force are utilizing strategies and tactics that they've learned in their training. They are not doing anything wrong in light of what they've been trained, or for the most part. And so maybe we need to step back and take a hard look of what they're being taught in training. And maybe we need to revise that or relax that or have a better cognizant experience with training versus just reacting to something that you've learned in a class. So I would put that out there on the table, that training is extremely, extremely important. I do think our police do a good job. I'm sure you've heard this. There's always a room for improvement in anything. And I think council is taking a hard look at that. And yeah, but I am not against, I mean, I am not for defunding our police.
Okay, thank you. All right, our next user submitted question. Okay, charitable nonprofit businesses employ 9% of the Lexington Fayette County workforce. It's 14,060 residents and account for 9.6% of the annual wages, $674 million, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics from 2017. In addition to being major employers, the nonprofit sector also brings significant revenues through tourism, local dining, and retail support, and more. How would you support the nonprofit sector as an employer of choice and as an economic engine in Lexington?
Well, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I was president of United Way of the Bluegrass for 9 years. And of course, we funded 86 area regional health and human service agencies, nonprofits. So I have a pretty good grasp on our nonprofit community. And right now I have a group called 100 Women. We fund nonprofits that take care of women and their children. But so again, I get it. I get it. The one thing that I've said repeatedly, if the city tried to pick up on our own the services that these agencies, not just health and human services, but just across the board for quality of life benefits, there's no way we could afford it. There is no way we could afford it. So what we've got is we've got these entities, our partners that are out there in the arena of nonprofits that play a very, very important role. Underpaid. They're doing things that really enhance our quality of life, that they're raising their own money. I mean, they're fundraising, and what we're helping them and the monies that we give them is only part of their economic support. So I very much am in support of our nonprofit community and will continue to find financial resources to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, so another user submitted question. District 12 covers a large area of the county, as we saw on the slide. How does it differ across this area? How have you managed addressing its needs, especially when and if they have been in opposition?
Well, I will tell you that it's like having two districts because I have the rural needs and the, the rural expectations, and then I have your neighborhoods. And since I've been in office over the 4 years, it has grown immensely. I look at the Hamburg area, and I look at the Blackford, I look at Glen Eagles, I look at Home Place, I look at Polo Club Boulevard that will now go across Man of War down to Winchester Road. And you look at there's so much growth. And with the census, there probably will have to be a redistricting. But I do wear two hats. I am cognizant of protecting the 12th district from growth that is not smart and consistent of what is important to us as a city in a county. And then I also look at neighborhoods that have issues such as safety, such as transportation. And so, like I said, it's two different hats, but I've learned to balance them. And I think I've learned to be a good voice for both areas and listen to both areas succinctly and take the right actions that they need and they deserve.
Thank you. And then our final user submitted question, before we move on to the Lex Vote Coalition generated questions. Councilmember Plomin, you have supported maintaining the urban services boundary. Can you speak to why that is important for your district and for Lexington?
Well, obviously it's all in my district. And so it's important to the district, but it's important to Lexington because, again, I used the word calling card, all your horse farms, all your farming, all your natural resources. That's in the 12th district. That is what Lexington is known for across the world. So we have to be really, really important as we grow, whatever that may look like. One of the things that I continually speak out is, our counties, we have folks that come in, 52% of our workforce come in from out of county. So that speaks to that it's not bad to live outside Fayette County. We don't have to have all this housing within the county. I know I live out in Greenbrier. I can be in Madison County in 12 minutes. I can be in Scott County in 10 minutes. So I think I think that it's not so much that we have to all live in Fayette County, but again, someone's got to be the gatekeeper, and the 12th district residents, rural residents, are very good gatekeepers. I work with them very close, and we just need to look at things like infill and redevelopment and develop that as we move forward as part of our strategic plan in preserving the urban service boundary.
Okay, thank you. And thanks again to all of our audience members who submitted some of those questions that we just went over. We are going to move into some questions that were generated within the Lex Vote Coalition. And we're going to begin with one that focuses on redistricting. The LFUCG Council will soon have the responsibility of council redistricting. What is your approach to including public participation in the redistricting process? And do you think that the 12th should be divided to a degree among the other districts?
Well, as I referenced before, the 12th has grown immensely in terms of neighborhoods. We are 72% of the landmass, and we are like a big horseshoe that goes around all of Lexington, with the exception of Jessamine County. I often talk to folks in planning and they say, it's not really fair that you're having to be the sole representative for that amount of space and protector for that amount of space. I think when you see the numbers from the census, you are going to see the immense growth that has happened in the 12th district. And because of that, I think, there is going to have to be some more division. Someone even suggested almost looking at our city county as a pie, and possibly even doing slivers where each sliver would have some of one and would keep coming out and even actually pick up some of 12, which be a very interesting perspective. But yeah, I think the public should be involved in that. Public's got needs, the public's got perspectives that council may not have, and we need to hear those voices and take those into consideration as we start looking at redistricting, which I believe will happen. I mean, it needs to happen.
Thank you. Moving on to the next question. This one is about everyone's favorite topic, budget shortfalls. In recent years, Lexington's budget obligations have outpaced its ability to generate revenue. In the fiscal year 2021 budget, this has dramatically impacted everything from economic development to social services. What strategies do you recommend to address revenue shortages while balancing spending priorities?
It's been a tough year. And I don't think it's going to get any better moving forward. It's not like we have this magic wand that says, here's this pot full of money. We have the 4 resources that we are getting money in now, and one is payroll, and one is the I'm going blank. The other 3. The big one's payroll. I mean, it's like 60-something%. And we've been looking at all of these, and we're taking a look at what increases might look like in one of those 4. Again, it's right. It's just happened. I mean, in terms of all being a $50 million shortfall, it just happened. And so we're not going to be able to fix it tomorrow. It's going to be long. It's going to take some time. And, the last thing you want to do is tax folks. But, that's probably going to be on the things we need to look at. And also business taxes, net profits is what I was thinking about. You also have, the utilities. And so we're just going to have to put them all out there together and see which one makes the most sense. But like I said, it's going to get worse next year before it gets better. We're not going to have all these CARES money and everything that's coming from the federal government for individuals and businesses and nonprofits.
Okay, thank you for that answer. We are going to move on to kind of a similar topic, somewhat related, and this is COVID-19 recovery. The impact of COVID-19 on local businesses and nonprofits will be significant and long-lasting. So what will you do as a council member to support their recovery and foster their resilience moving forward?
Well, we have been doing a lot in terms of making sure that monies came down from a federal standpoint, and we've looked at local funds that we were able to allocate to businesses, especially minority and women businesses. And can we sustain that? I think that's the $1 million question for everybody. How much more can be coming down from federal, and how much local can we do have a budget. We had a shortfall, and we were able to find monies out of our rainy day fund to help our nonprofits. Um, I think right now we are still looking for answers on that. Again, back to my point on nonprofits, I think we desperately need to make sure that they're taken care of. Our business community, we're going to lose some, and we know that. One thing, going back to our nonprofits, and really from my United Way experience, is I think we need to really look at more collaborative approaches. And I know the agencies do work together, but perhaps there's even better ways that they can combine their services that might require less funding and also have even more impact on their customers. So, but it's again, we're moving and we're working as we're moving, and hopefully we'll come up with some resolve.
Thank you. We've got time for just a couple more. We are going to move into the topic of racial justice. Given your understanding of Lexington's long and complicated history around racial injustices, what do you plan to do to directly address inequality and its root causes in our city?
Well, I'll tell you, I just recently, the RFP went out for the Palmer House, which is the old drugstore that was down there on 5th Street, Chesapeake, 5th Street. And I support that. I support funding of that, because I think there's areas of our city that need more hands-on, more accessible services to help that part of our community come out of the economic challenges and things that they haven't been able to obtain, and that's because they haven't had the resources. I think the whole task force that we just put together, and I actually served on that, and that had to do with I was on the health one in terms of the inequity in health services, and I think that unto itself is a great first step. After serving on that particular committee, I was not aware of all of the racial disparities that existed in our healthcare system. I really didn't. No one, it's not something I lived with. So I think once we get the results from this council and we market these results, and we have a buy-in and this kind of like light bulb going off with a lot of folks saying, I didn't know that was a reality. I didn't know that this existed. And I think that'll all give us a little bit more consensus and a read on what is a good next step. Because I think right now what we're doing is we're taking inventory on what is the reality out there. I don't know if you're talking or
Sorry
not.
about that. I had to mute myself. I live next door to a park and the kids are going crazy right now, and I realize it's kind of loud. So
trying to get my halo out from underneath my head here. This setting sun. I'm sorry, I didn't hear if you asked me a question or what.
Okay, we have time for one more final question, and we are going to talk about one that revolves around public participation. Which has been, somewhat of a challenge this year, kind of in an unprecedented way, given COVID, and Lexington has temporarily suspended public comment in all public Zoom meetings. Meaningful public participation is vital to a responsive local government, and COVID-19 has created a new set of challenges in that regard. What strategies would you support to making ongoing public participation accessible for all?
Well, I think it's extremely important, and it's been so frustrating not to have it. Of course, we tried it a couple times, and it was disastrous in terms of we didn't have any tape delay, and so people were able to get on and just say monstrous things. We're still on Zoom. We are still on Zoom. We're looking at hybrids to try to get some of us in the chambers. And if that's the case, then we can have public comment coming into the chambers. If we can't get back out of our Zoom for a while, we could still have folks come into the chamber and one by one with some type of screening process and speak, so that we've got that comment. That we've looked at things like, pre-taping and sending in, and we've been looking at other cities across the country and how they're dealing with it. And I think we all are in consensus and very much agreement that it's necessary to have it. To be a local government, to be making decisions on local impacts on our people, we just can't do it by ourselves. That's why we were elected. That's why we're at the table representing our community, our folks, and they need to have a voice. So we're working on the best and the quickest way that we can make that happen. But it's imperative and it's vital for city government.
Okay. Thank you so much. We are just about out of time. So I just want to thank you again, Councilmember Plomin, for being here, taking this time out of your evening to answer some questions for us, and also to the audience for submitting questions and for tuning in. And tonight concludes our forum series. We have covered all of the council districts in Lexington. So I just want to let everybody know that if you have missed or would like to rewatch any of the previous night's forums, you can find all of them at lex.vote. There is a tab that says council forums. And so we're posting all of these videos on that page. And also a reminder that as well at lex.vote, we've got all the information that Lexington voters need to cast an informed vote in the upcoming general election on November 3rd. So I just want to encourage everybody to vote and to use this resource that we've created to help kind of give some more details on how to do that in the best way. So we appreciate your time again, Councilmember Plomin, and everyone for tuning in. And thanks so much for everyone who's participated throughout this entire series.
Thanks for all you continue to do. Take care. Good night.